Hey shooters, this is Southpaw Shooter. Welcome to our second video, first full-length feature video. Today we are going to be doing, as promised, the full review of the KSG shotgun. I have an old pump-action shotgun out here. We're going to compare and contrast this shotgun with this shotgun. We're going to talk about which one's better, for why. We're going to see how this compares to your granddaddy's old pump-action. We're going to see what the advantages are of having such a short shotgun versus a long shotgun, see what the advantages are of this shotgun versus this one, and it should be a fun day out here at the range. Alright shooters, we're going to go straight for the good stuff. I've got here 3 rounds of double-aught buckshot. I'm going to put through the KSG. We're just going to look at recoil, and as soon as I finish this, I'm going to go straight to your old type pump-action shotgun, and this is double-aught buck, military grade. This is the equivalent of shooting 9 rounds of 32 caliber handgun ammunition all at once. Okay? This is double-aught buck through the KSG. Alright, as you can see, it is a shotgun. It rocked me back a little bit. It wasn't too bad. I've definitely shot bigger. The 300 Win Mag comes to mind, but it is a 12 gauge shotgun. Alright, let's go switch to the pump action shotgun and see how it compares. Alright shooters, here we got a pump action shotgun. This is a New England Arms Pardner pump action. It's a standard pump action shotgun. Very similar to your Remington 870 or your Mossberg 500 that you're going to see everywhere else. It just happens to be a little on the cheaper side, but when it comes to shotguns, especially this kind, a shotgun's a shotgun. So I'm going to shoot this now. I've got the same buckshot that I had in the KSG, and we're going to compare the recoil. Alright, well, what can I say? It's a 12 gauge shotgun. If you fired one, you fired any of them. They're just like this. It's an 18-inch barrel. First impressions, I think that this shotgun has more muzzle rise than the KSG, and that's primarily because of where the round is situated in this gun versus the KSG. I'll show you what I mean, and I'll explain the physics behind what I mean in this next segment. What I was saying before about the muzzle flip on this gun versus this gun, take a look here where this round sits when it's fired, right here, okay? Now my center of balance for this gun is all the way back here. This is where I'm holding it. This is where the fulcrum of the lever is, okay? So when this gun goes off, bam, it puts more torque on that fulcrum, pushing this end up, okay? Now anybody who's taken 6th grade science knows that they can move something really huge if they have a big enough lever, okay? Now, just a sec here. I want you to take a look at where this round sits when it's in the chamber of the KSG. That would be right here, behind my hand, okay? So when this gun hits, this gun goes off, it pushes more back than up. And I would say, overall, the felt recoil on them is about the same. It's just that your standard pump shotgun versus a KSG pump shotgun has a much more muzzle flip, while the KSG is much more apt to punch you in the shoulder and maybe sting your face a little bit because of this right here. Now I have a neoprene cover on here versus the standard metal that's on there, and we'll talk about that in a minute when we do the full review of the gun. But I just wanted to point this out. As far as recoil goes, this is going to be much more back at you and rocking you than your standard pump shotgun, which is more kicking up instead of back. Hey shooters, a note about reloading the KSG. It's very different than loading a normal shotgun. A normal shotgun, we all know, you take it, you turn it to the side, you shove in your rounds. This one, obviously, the sling, especially where I have it, it'll get in the way. The best way that I've found, especially with the sling that I installed in the previous video, is to actually, you take it, you prop it up on your leg like this, so you can see right in there the reloading area. It's a big wide area. Because if you just try to do it by feel, you're not going to be able to know which tube you're getting it in, because the KSG has 2 tubes. You take your rounds and you just put them in there just like that. You can see what you're doing. Whoops. Just like that. Get it up. Ready to rock and roll. That simple. A lot of people have been making a fuss about how to reload the KSG. I just simplified it for you right there. There you go. Alright shooters, welcome to the review portion of our video on the KSG. Right here, I have the KSG that we took to the range, and I have the New England firearm shotgun that we took to the range. And I'm going to compare and contrast and give you the full review of the KSG and my experiences with it out at the range. When we took this to the range, it wasn't my first time with this shotgun. I've actually had this shotgun for a while. But I easily had more malfunctions with this shotgun than any other time that I've taken this shotgun out to the range. I'm going to get the bad stuff out of the way about this shotgun very first off the bat. When you have a malfunction in the KSG, it is not good. It is catastrophic. In this shotgun, when you have a failure in this shotgun, what do? You jack it open. If you've got a shell that's kind of loose in there, you take it, you chuck it out, or if it's a good shell, you put it in your pocket or you hold on to it. Make sure your breech is clear, close it up again, put your new shell back right down in there, you're ready to rock, right? It's got a nice open chamber, it's real easy to clear, not a big deal, yeah? KSG, not so much. When you have a failure on this shotgun, you can see it's a nice big chamber right there. But because this shotgun ejects where it feeds from, if you have a failure to eject, which is the most often what I found in here, what I had a spent cartridge in the chamber, and it had fed a good cartridge in behind it, that you have to get in there and get that good cartridge out, then close it, and then rack it back again so it ejects that good cartridge. Now, that seems simple because it's the same thing you have to do with this. But there's the actual feed mechanism, I'm not so sure if you can see it from here, but these 2 bars that are right here. And these 2 bars, they impede any kind of action from happening. They make getting a shell out of there a pain, a royal pain. And if this gun goes down, in short, there's no quick way to get it back up again. There's just no quick way to get it back up again. It's down. So you better hope your shotgunner has a sidearm on him, because your shotgun is down for at least 60 seconds, 2 minutes, however long it takes him to get that shotgun shell clear. And that's probably the worst thing. Now, I will caveat saying that those mouths that I had with this shotgun, I think that they were mostly due to this VG that I was running on the shotgun. And you'll see that on the shooting videos, that I had this VG on there. And after a while, this VG, after use, it worked fine when we first got it out to the range. I ran lots of rounds through it when we first got it out to the range. But after a while, it started failing to eject, and which is common with this gun when you short stroke it, because with the Keltec shotgun, you have to stroke it full every time. You have to give it the full pump every time, otherwise it doesn't work properly, because it ejects from the same place where you're feeding its shells from. You have to man up and really hit it every time, and that's why you almost always want to use a VG on your Keltec. But this VG, this is a cheap Chinese grip. I was hoping I could use it because it had a light on it, a nice strobe light for home defense. You can see, but as you can see right here, you can see on these ribs right here on the Picatinny rail on the bottom where you mount a VG or a light or whatever, it broke. this VG right here broke one of my rails on my Picatinny rail on the bottom of my shotgun. And I mean, these rails, they're plastic, they're polycarbonate, they're not aluminum, which if they were made of aluminum, they would probably be a little tougher and wouldn't be as prone to breaking. But even polymer stuff, I've never had a break like this before. This is, you know, there's a first time for everything. This is not the first time I've had problems with this grip. If you'll look real close right here, I have a silver nut on this, and I was trying, it had a finger or thumb screw, thumb nut on here to tighten this on. And once again, I'm not sure if you can see from this distance, but I've got a little bit of markings right here where I tried to tighten that thumb screw on this, and this grip, this forend was just too wide, and the shape was wrong for that thumb screw, so I'd switched to that regular 5mm nut, and I had attached on here, but it broke that rail clean off. And so, did I have some malfs with this? Some malfunctions with this on the range? Yes. Yes, I did. I absolutely did. I had quite a few, and each one was a pain in the rear to clear. However, after I got this off, and I was using it up here just like a normal shotgun, just like that, I didn't have any more malfunctions with it. You want to use a VG with this kind of gun because you're prone to holding it really close, and if you hold it this close, your hand will hit the front of the trigger guard right there, and you'll short stroke it, which causes most of the problems. But I'm thinking what happened was that this was coming loose, and I didn't realize it, and it would give whenever I would pull it back. That would give up there, and it wasn't hitting as far back as it needs to, because it has to go. This gun, if it has more than anything, any other shotgun I've ever seen, this gun has to go through its complete cycle in order to function properly. So, once again, I had malfunctions with it. It failed to extract a couple times, but I have very good reason to believe that it was due to this cheap vertical grip. That it really was a cheap. It was a cheap one that I'd gotten at a gun show, and I'm pretty sure that this causing problems on here failed to close all the way forward and not getting that extractor down on the shell lip. And I think we do have some outtakes of me trying to fight with the shotgun, so we'll try to intersperse that in here. To talk about the shotgun itself in a much more general sense, the first thing that this shotgun has going for it on the good side, now let's continue with the bad stuff real quick, and then we'll hit the good stuff. The bad stuff, the one real other bad thing that I can talk about this shotgun with, and I talked about it a little bit in the last video, but I'll really hit it home here this time, is the slings, where the sling sits. You have your sling mount right here, and you have a sling mount right here. And when we were talking about the button sling install, we looked at that, and I said, if you had a 2-point sling on this, it would just carrying it, it would flip the gun upside down. You'd be carrying it, and it would flip it upside down as the sling held it right here. Yes, that's exactly what happens. This gun really begs for a single-point sling. It's kind of, now Keltec does sell an attachment on their website that attaches right here for a single-point sling. I looked at it on the website. I don't know, it installs right there, right at the center axis, the balance point of the gun. You can see that's the balance point of the gun right there. But to my eyes, just looking at the website, it looked a little flimsy. So that's why, as in the previous video, in the install video, I installed this button sling right here, and all the information for this sling is on that video. This is the Blackhawk sling from that same video. This button sling point held up really, really well. I had it slung across me all day. There's no visible wear on this. It's really nice, solid, hard metal that's used here for this loop, which is really saying something, because I had this same sling on my SCAR 16 and this, on the sling point that is integral to the gun, and that sling point got chewed up really bad from this exact same sling right here, because this Blackhawk sling has really hard steel for the clips. But this sling, this button point sling right here, it has these really nice heavy duty steel hooks, and I don't see any wear and tear on the actual metal. It's just some on the finish, and you would expect that with some metal rubbing against metal like you would have on this clip here. Talking about the good things about this shotgun though, look at the size. Look at the size of this shotgun right here compared to your old standard pump. Look at that. These have the same barrel. These are both 18-inch barrels, right? They're both 18-inch barrels, but this bullpup configuration of this shotgun where the barrel starts right here, ends right here, I'm sorry, my mistake, these are both 16-inch barrels, not 18-inch. This is a 16-inch barrel. Look at this, the barrel starts right here versus right there on this shotgun. And that's evened up. They have the same barrel length, but look how much farther this stock goes out on this shotgun right here, on this standard shotgun, the New England shotgun. That is the best, that is the primary reason for this shotgun. It's small. And its magazine capacity is enormous compared to your old pump action. Your old pump action has, what, a 5-shot magazine? This has, even if you don't count the full thing of 14 in the entire gun, because you don't want to, you don't think it's Faro, it's got 2 tubes. Well, even one tube is 7 rounds. Okay, so this still has a capacity advantage over your old shotgun. But this does have 2 tubes. It has 2 tubes, and it has the selector back here. This is how you select which tube. The one you turn it towards is the one that's going to feed from. It has 3 positions, right, or is this left, middle, and right. Middle is kind of almost like a safety. It won't feed from either tube. Really, it's meant to be able to put it in the middle, and you load, you open the breech, you load one shotgun shell in, close it, fire. But from what I've found is that is really when you're under the gun and you're trying to do something quickly, that's a really difficult position to try to find. It's that fine motor skill that you need in order to get it in the middle, instead of just flipping it side by side and trying to get it in the middle and not over to one side too far. It's really impractical to be able to do that. I don't recommend it. When you're talking about combat shooting, you're talking about big, gross motor skills. You want big things. You don't want to be able to fumble with little switches and stuff on your firearm. You want a big lever or a big handle or something to grab with the whole meat of your hand and rack it back or whatever. This shotgun has a butt pad on it to help reduce some recoil. I talk about the recoil on the shotgun. It tends to hit back more than it goes up. And we discussed that a little bit. We discussed that and the physics of that in length versus this shotgun, where this shotgun is more likely to go up than back. And we discussed a little bit of the rotational dynamics about what's going on there. The Keltec, one of the little criticisms that this is really kind of small about the Keltec. You'll notice that I have some padding here, which held up really well. I was really surprised about that. If anything, I thought that this would wear off by now or come undone. The Keltec does not come with any kind of padding here on the face rest. It's just a metal aluminum plate right there, or a steel plate. And it's cold and it's hard, and it makes, when you're shooting the gun, you can feel it working right there by your head, and you become very intimately familiar with what's going on inside this gun. You can feel the action moving. But you also get smacked in the face every time you shoot the gun. I have seen some padding. There's a faceplate padding or faceplate covers more accurately. I saw them online, but they're all made of Kydex. And I wondered, what's the point of that? Kydex is hard plastic. It's going to smack you just as hard as that steel plate will, and it might actually even be worse, because if that Kydex has any kind of wobble back and forth, it's going to be like the Scar 17. When you shoot the Scar 17, that cheek comb that it has a little bit of wobble, and it kind of stings your face when you shoot it. And so I'm thinking, well, that's no good. What you really want back here is some kind of soft rubber like neoprene or something. So I went to my local archery store, and I bought a couple of bow silencers that are used with a bow and arrow. That cost me $1.25 each. Slapped them on there, and there you go. I did not notice that this gun did not sting my face at all when I shot it today. Not like the last time, which is excellent, to say the least. That has to be one of the cheapest, most effective gun fixes that I've ever had. So moving forward from here, pistol grip's good. It's got the standard Keltec ribbing on it. The safety is good. It's nice and positive. It's got a real solid click, and you know when you've engaged it or disengaged it. The trigger's all right. It's not bad. It's a bullpup trigger. It's not bad. It's slightly mushy, but the break is clean. For a bullpup, it's really not bad. If you're used to bullpups, if you know anything what I'm talking about, I would say for a bullpup, it's actually on the better end of a bullpup trigger. It's got double action bars. That's good. Gives you a nice, good, solid action. You could kind of gripe about the sight, about the length of pull on the sights, because your eyes are all the way back here, and your sights don't start till here. With a red dot sight, that wouldn't be such a big deal, but I have previously busted up a red dot sight on this gun. I bought a red dot sight. I think it was just a cheap one that I got for $50. Put it on here. This thing, within the first half dozen rounds that I put through it, had that sight so destroyed and the dots so off the mark that I've never even decided. I decided that I was never going to do that again. Even if it was a $50 sight, maybe an EOTech would have held up better. But you know what? For a shotgun, keep it simple. Got some nice, good iron sights. These are Yankee Hill iron sights on here. Good iron sights that not going to move on you. They're just fine. Got the nice big aperture. These are actually AR sights, but you know, you put that big nighttime aperture on here, and with that AR front post, and they work just fine for a shotgun. A word on the action, like I said before, the one thing you don't want to do with this shotgun is short stroke it, and unless you have a VG, which I probably will be putting another vertical grip on here. I have a Knight's Armament vertical grip that doesn't use a cross screw like that other one does. It's a screw up. It's got a little nipple on it, and it goes up in there and doesn't put as near much cross pressure on that as that cheap one did. But I will be putting another vertical grip on there. You really gotta hit it home, and with a vertical grip on there, it's a lot easier to get that in there and to really drive the rack. But even without it, you know, hold it all the way up. Don't hold it like your M4 back here. Make sure your hand is all the way forward, kind of like how those modern guys have been, you know, they shoot their ARs like all the way out there like that. You know, make sure your hand's all the way forward, and then really rack it. There's the forend release. It's right there. It can be accessed by just your index finger. I'm sure you've seen me do it more than a few times. And you know, it is what it is. It's got a good double action bar. It's plastic, but most other shotgun things plastic. Seeing that this was broke, I almost would like to see somebody come out with an aluminum one. Almost. I don't think it'll happen. probably because they don't want that metal on metal, but you know, I will be contacting Keltec and seeing if I can get a replacement forend for this gun. All right, one final word on ambidexterity, since this is the Southpaw shooter. Southpaws, this shotgun is great for ambidexterity. Most shotguns tend to be left-handed friendly. This gun is even more so. Everything is identical on the right or left-hand side, and it ejects right here straight out the bottom. If you watch the shooting videos, or the shooting footage during this video, you'll see that the shells will eject right out here, and they tend, on me, I've heard other people where they hit their wrist, and they can actually leave cuts right here, and if you're wearing gloves, it's not a big deal. I've never had that problem where it hits my wrist right here. Instead, it tends to hit my chest right here. This is where it always hits me every time, is right here on my chest. But it ejects downward. It doesn't eject out in front of your face like most guns do for left-handed people. This gun is wonderful for left-handed shooting. It's the equal opportunity, so to speak. You can see the slide release right there. It has little knobs on both the right and the left-hand side right there. And other than that, the safety, I mean, it would be, you'd be turning it off or turning it on the same way no matter how you were holding it. You know, it's the same. It's a cross bolt. It's not an AR type. If it were an AR type, it might be a little different. You might have some ambidexterity issues there, but it's a cross bolt, so it's the same on either side. And the gun looks to be made, I'm looking at it, and it's completely congruent on the left-hand side versus the right-hand side. So there you go. Overall, I would say this shotgun gives my thumbs up. It's a very good shotgun. I enjoyed shooting it a lot. I enjoyed having 14 rounds in order to shoot with. My biggest gripe would have to be malfunction. If you have a malfunction, and you will, I mean, every gun has a malfunction eventually. If you haven't had a malfunction with your gun, you haven't shot it enough. Is that when it has a malfunction, it's a witch to clear. But that being said, I don't think that I've ever had a malfunction with this gun that wasn't in some way user error. So, like I said, take that with a grain of salt. With this, that broke that off. It is what it is. Just how it goes. You know, this versus your standard old shotgun that's been in service for years and years and years. I think it's a step up. I think this shotgun, the shotguns like the UTAS 15 out of Turkey, I think that's what's going to be happening in the future. I would have liked to have seen a feeding system closer to what the UTAS has, where it alternates between the two tubes and gives you continuous fire. But, you know, beggars can't be choosers. Well, it's not even beggars can't be choosers. You get 7 rounds, and for somebody who grew up with 5 rounds in a shotgun throughout his entire life, 7 rounds, and then you do a quick reload, and that's how I think you have to look at this. I think the guys over at Nothing Fancy have it exactly right. You have to look at this as a quick reload. I would not recommend running 2 different types, like non-lethal and lethal, or slug and then buckshot. I would not recommend that. You have to look at it as a quick reload, but looking at it like that is 7 rounds, quick reload, 7 more rounds. You know, and we did the little, I showed you how to effectively reload this gun. It's earlier in this video. You will see, I mean, any shotgun is going to be an exercise in reloading, any of them. You know, whether you're you know, flipping it to the side, shoving in more after 3 rounds, and you're shoving in more. Every shotgun is going to be an exercise in reloading. This it just makes it a lot faster. And think of the firepower that this can bring to bear versus your old shotgun. I think this wins hands down. It's impressive. And you know, talk about the shotgun being the perennial go-to gun for home defense. Come on, fellas. Look how big this thing is. Look how big it is. This thing is about as wide as my shoulders, maybe a little bit wider. You know, taking a corner with this gun versus, you know, this musket here that, you know, you could put wheels on this and shoot it at redcoats. It's so big. You know, it's like a cannon. And this is a cannon too. I mean, it is a 12 gauge, but this is a carbine length 12 gauge without sacrificing any of that 16-inch barrel accuracy, without getting a stupid spread or doing a sawed-off, something illegal and sawed off, or it used to be illegal. It's a little bit, you know, they're a little bit kinder on that kind of thing nowadays. This is the way to go. If you're going to do home defense, this shotgun or a shotgun like this is the way to go. And despite those reliability issues, which, like I said, I think are mostly due to this faulty vertical grip, I think this is an excellent shotgun, and I have not had any reliability or feed issues besides short stroking or, like I said, where I think we're due to this grip, which is going to be relegated to the junk drawer today. I'd say this shotgun is overall very excellent, and the recoil on it, it's rough. It punches you right directly in the shoulder, directly back, which has caused some friends of mine who have shot this shotgun to declare it the best and the worst shotgun that they've ever shot, mostly because it's so small, it's fun to shoot, lots of firepower, but it kicks like a 12 gauge, but none of that kick is going into muzzle rise. It's all going back into your shoulder. I would like to see like a limb saver, somebody make a limb saver or something for this thing, but this rubber pad is okay. You know what I say to somebody like that? I say, quit being a wuss. Man up, shoot the shotgun, rack it back with authority, shoot it with authority, quit being a woman, shoot the shotgun. This gun, that being said, this gun gets the full Southpaw shooter endorsement. If you can find one, go out and get yourself one of these. They are very good in their application. They're very fun to shoot, and they will definitely turn heads at the range. But more for utility, what better shotgun could you possibly have for home defense? I can't think of one. Keltec KSG. Hey shooters, I just wanted to introduce you to this, our first feature-length video. You will see my special friend here in some featured videos to come. A full-length review of this rifle is coming soon, but believe me, I have nothing but good things to say about this rifle. This is an Israeli Tavor. This is a left-handed version with the left-handed kit. You can see there's the ejection port right there. This is my personal rifle. I love this rifle very much, and you will be seeing a lot of this rifle if you continue to watch this channel. Shooters, thanks for joining us. Please hit like and subscribe, and you'll see lots more reviews of us. You'll see the Tavor coming up in future videos, and thanks for joining us today. Sure had a lot of fun.